Welcome to episode 105 of Outside the Circle, a podcast dedicated to new and upcoming country artists, musicians, and songwriters. Today's guest will be Ash Taylor. We'll get to her in a little bit, but first, I'm Ronnie, and here's Brian.
What's happening, man? I apologize to our listeners for this one. I'm a little under the weather, as you might hear. I want to say it's allergies, and I think it is, but we took the holiday weekend off and went down to Cape May in New Jersey, and man, Wyatt ran me wild for 4 days straight, man, and I think I'm a little worn out from that. But yeah, man, we had a great weekend down there hanging out and really fun. Not quite relaxing, but fun, And but yeah, man, these allergies are kicking my ass.
Yeah, I bet it's been I've never had allergies in my life until probably the last couple of years, but it's awful this year, and yeah, it's not fun.
Dude, and we have had like zero rain, right? So like everything is just like collecting. Like my truck is
Yeah.
gray and it's normally gray, I'll say. And it's just like a fuzzy yellow green right now. It's like, you wash it and within hours it's just covered again.
Yeah, well, that happened to me. I washed my car 2 weekends ago. Yeah, 2 weekends ago or so, and then the next day I go to work, and being a camp, we're in the woods, and
Mhm.
I left my car in the parking lot, and I came back to it at the end of the day, and it was green. It was
Yeah,
disgusting.
I know. We need like a serious rainstorm that lasts like a couple of days to knock this shit down.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so we got a good interview here. The last couple ones we've kind of traded off
Mhm.
who's doing them, and we finally got a couple together here. So um yeah, I think this interview with Ash was a lot of fun, and I think everybody's gonna enjoy it, and yeah. All right, everyone, we're here today with singer-songwriter Ash Taylor. Welcome to Outside the Circle, Ash. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we're excited. I think you well, I mean, we're gonna jump into it, but I think you might be our second Bakersfield area artist. So we always
Really?
love talking about that side of country music and stuff. So obviously we'll jump into that. Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah. So I know I kind of just gave it away a little bit, but we always like to start with the cliche. Tell us a little bit about where you grew up, and how important music was in your household and things like that.
Oh, yeah. No, I think that's awesome though that there's other Bakersfieldians out there that have been on the show. I think that's awesome. But yeah, I mean I grew up clearly in Bakersfield, California, and just for anyone listening today, if you've never heard of it, basically it's a farm town out in Central California, but our claim to fame is the famous Bakersfield Sound, which a lot of people don't know, but it's like we're the birthplace of Merle Haggard. You had Buck Owens, who was kind of the pioneer out of this, California country kind of a sound. And so growing up, um, clearly I was influenced by all of those things. Honestly, I think just more than I really realized. But I kind of grew up in that area, so a lot of country music. I think though how I really came to love music in general was actually though my grandmother, my nana. So my nana lived in a double wide trailer her whole life. And my grandfather was a dock worker. So, I mean, just poor as all get out, country folk to the max. And my Nana, though, loved country music just as much as she loved like cooking dinner for her family and cleaning. And I mean, she was like my introduction, though, into the world of music, and most importantly, country music, because that was her favorite. That's what she dug. So I remember, I mean, and she unfortunately passed away, when I was about 13. And I have this cassette tape here. It's sitting here in my studio right now. But my oldest brother made a cassette tape that was or as we called it back in the day, a mixtape. And it was all of like her favorite country songs, and as far back as I can remember, she literally played that every single day. So the very first country song I ever heard was her favorite song on this little mixtape, and it's track one, and it's Coal Miner's Daughter by Loretta Lynn. And there was Patsy Cline, and there was Tammy Wynette, and there was even some more modern at the time, like the Dixie Chicks, and Faith Hill, and just all of this country music. And I think she really just kind of, because she loved it so much, it kind of went on to me. And clearly she's not here with us today, but I mean, she's the reason why I'm sitting in this chair talking to you today. So I definitely owe her a lot. And when I get up there to heaven, hopefully she'll be proud. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of my introduction, just kind of born and raised around music, especially country, just because of where I lived and where I grew up. But then also having my grandmother, who was just instilling that love of traditional country music, especially just in me from the start.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the basis of anything with country music, especially, is like the love of that traditional sound, which I am a huge fan of that sound. The modern sound is what it is, and you can take it for and leave it for whatever it needs to be. But the love and the understanding of that traditional country sound and where it came from and everything, I think creates the one of the best artistry there is, just because you have that background and stuff. So I think that's really nice.
Man, thank you. I agree with that. I think too, for me, because like I said, I was just born into it and I grew up around it. So clearly I always loved it. But when my grandmother passed away, like I said, I was about 13. For me, that was like the first time experiencing some kind of a crazy loss. And then when I would go back and I would listen to these country songs, because, people are like, oh, traditional country, it's so sad and it's so this. And it's like, well, maybe it is sad, but like I could understand the feeling and emotions in these old country songs like I never could before. And so, I think country music is for the working man and it's for the brokenhearted. And I agree. I have nothing against modern country, and I think it's all great. And I never want to doubt anybody's art, but for me, I think music it's real music for real people. Yeah. That's just what I believe.
Yeah, I mean, I say all the time that I am not from the country background initially. Born and raised New Jersey. It's a very different thought around here, but that is what drew me to country initially, was the storytelling of it, if you will, and the I guess the relatability, right? Like you said, it's for the working man. It's I don't think I've ever actually like got this far in my story of how I got here, but I always say that, like, as much as I loved and still love a lot of the music that I grew up with, there was always like that something never really clicked, and like I always felt like I was still missing something, and then I found it here. So it's a good genre, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's the best in my opinion, for sure.
Yeah. And it's funny too that you were saying, Bakersfield, California, and Merle and Buck and Dwight and Loretta, like that whole group of artists. My introduction to country actually happened when I lived in Los Angeles. So it's maybe being, and like Dwight Yoakam was one of the first people I ever listened to. So like maybe that Bakersfield sound was really like what clicked for me. So maybe I like that a lot more than I think I do.
It's super interesting because, like I said, I kind of just like grew up around it, and so to me it was all like kind of like normal and everything. But then I moved here to Nashville, and when you start making your own music and writing your own songs, and it's just amazing to me how much I just didn't realize what an imprint that left. Because where you're from and all that, it plays a part in what you like and who you are. And I mean, it's just part of you. But that's kind of my introduction to music. But I can also pinpoint, just speaking of like being in California and just artists that I admire, I can pinpoint the moment where I literally knew that I wanted to be a country music singer for the rest of my life. And
So that's good, because that's my next question.
oh, is it? Okay, great.
Yes.
Sorry. Didn't know you-
So give us that story. How'd that happen for you?
Well, so I was in my grandparents. I was in their double wide, and like I said, my nana was my introduction to country music. So I was a massive country music fan. But I was maybe, I don't even remember how old I was, maybe 10, 11. And I was sitting in the living room, and my grandmother every day would put on country music television, CMT. And, you know, she'd be cleaning house and the videos would be on and doing their thing. And there's this one day that I was sitting there, and on the TV, it said CMT world premiere. And this lady came flying off of a four-wheeler singing about being a redneck woman. And her name was Gretchen Wilson. And I got maybe 30 seconds into this music video, and I turned to my Nana right then and there, and I said, that is what I want to be when I grow up. And she said, what, redneck? And I said, hell yeah. But oh no, I mean, I just remember watching her come off that four-wheeler though, because that was just the first time that it's like, you know, I just loved everything about her. And I was like, I want to do that. How do I get to be that cool like when I grow up? And I'm still working on that. But you know, she just, oh man, it's like she just reached through the TV and just grabbed me. And I was like, this is what I want to do. Like, this is it.
You know what was cool about that whole like music mafia scene too, with Big and Rich and Gretchen Wilson and stuff like that. Gretchen Wilson, hindsight, you kind of look back, and prior to that was female artists were well dressed, standing in front of a microphone, and that really like a rock show, and she kind of like punched her way through and made that happen. And the redneck woman era, I guess, is just kind of like blew up for and obviously it had a huge impact on you.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
great.
And I think the songs that came out of the Music Mafia, like John Rich and all that, I mean, man, what a songwriter and all that. But I mean, I was so young and so impressionable, but whatever it was about her and just that music video and stuff, it's like, I mean, I can still remember it today. And I remember I then learned like that she wrote the songs, and I was like, how do you write songs? Like, how does that happen? And I remember, babysitting and stuff. I was, clearly a kid, and working odd jobs to save up money. And I went to Walmart, and her CD, that CD, Here for the Party, was the first CD I ever bought. I mean, it just like put me on a track down to being a redneck woman, if you will, for the rest of my life.
So I want to go all the way back to when I think, Brian, we might have did maybe like episode 7 or 7. We talked about Loretta Lynn. I remember that, but episode like, I don't know, it was around then, very early for us. We went on this whole rant and rave about women on radio, period, and
Sure.
and how lacking it is, and how much more there needs to be and should be. And I think, right, like you just said, like, the Dolly Partons were all done up, and then now I think Gretchen Wilson and like everybody in that time frame, right? Like who else came? Like Shania Twain was kind of in that range. I
Sarah,
think if it wasn't for them,
yeah.
I don't know. I think that the little we hear women on country radio would probably be a heck of a lot less without like that scene that blew up for them.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and to add to that too, it was, you would have never saw Martina McBride ripping out on a four-wheeler. You know what I mean? Like it just wasn't the artist that she was. She was a powerhouse singer. She stood in front of a microphone and killed it. Same thing with Faith Hill, a great artist, but not that kind of a rock star. Say, and for Gretchen Wilson to just kind of completely blow apart the mold of what a female country artist looks like. And sings about, is the pave, is the dirt road, say, that created, the Ashley McBride, that type of artist. Ashley McBride now sings songs that if, you would have heard it 30 years ago, would have, broken the radio, would not have been okay with it.
Yeah. And I think for me, at least, like kind of growing up and just being so inspired. And I mean, I just have a lot of respect for almost any woman in country music, because I really think that the few that we do have that are on the radio and just out there, I think they're incredible, all within their own right. But the thing that I kind of learned, through growing up watching women like Gretchen Wilson break the mold, and just watching these women, is just being authentic and being who you are. You know what I mean? No one is ever going to come off a four-wheeler like Gretchen Wilson ever again. Like that's her thing. And so, but it's like, man, what if Gretchen Wilson had tried to be different or try to be something that she's not? So I think it's just kind of like, there's only one you, and just be you and be the best that you can be, and just kind of like, just be authentic with it. I think that's just kind of the thing that it kind of at least taught me, just from watching and observing for so many years.
Yeah. So I don't know how you're gonna feel about this comparison, but I know Brian's gonna hate it. I almost feel like he already knows where I'm going with this, and it's awful. I almost feel like if we look at the evolution of early country music in terms of appearance, like we were saying, the Dolly Partons, then the Gretchen Wilsons, then the Faith Hills, like
Right.
I almost feel like Taylor Swift does that all in her 10 albums. She started as the prim and proper, then she came out, and that now she's back to love songs.
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. Not wrong. Yeah. Only Taylor Swift can do a song like Picture to Burn or Bad Blood or whatever, and then it's like Love Story, and we're all like, oh, that's so great. Like, I mean, yeah. It's an eras tour for a reason, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Sorry, Brian, I had to bring that up, but I'm the resident Taylor Swift fan on the podcast. So
I see.
So
do you not like Taylor Swift then? Like at all?
I just not that it's like that I'm against her in any way. I just have I have no connection to her music.
That's fair. I understand that.
Yeah. I'm a cowboy hat and backwoods kind of guy. So.
Oh, right on, man. Good deal.
Yeah, I like the sequins and but so we were talking about songwriting a little bit, and especially the guys and girls behind that Bakersfield writing style and all that. Let's start with the clichéness of it. So what does that songwriting process look like for you? Where do you draw inspiration from? Things like that.
Yeah, I mean, cliche, but always a great question. Always good. For me, it's always different, honestly. And I know that may sound cliche, but it's true. I mean, when I moved here to town, I was moved to town by a hit songwriter, and I got to study with him for a whole year. And I'm one of those people where before I moved to town, it's like, man, I didn't know how to write a song. I didn't know what a co-write was. I had just been trying to write really bad songs in my bedroom. And so, for me, it was a process. So for me, I think of songwriting as a muscle. And every day I work on that muscle, just like an athlete would, to better it, to grow that muscle and to make it strong. So, like I've never really suffered with things, and maybe I should knock on wood, like writer's block, because for me, it's like, I think I've written so many songs. I mean, I've written thousands of songs, thousands. I mean, there was a period for several years where I would write 3 or 4 songs in a day, so I've put in my 10,000 hours, if you will, and I've worked on that craft. So inspiration to me is everywhere. It's watching TV. It's watching, movies. I love to read books. I get lots of ideas on reading stories, or even just like watching little short YouTube videos, memes that people send to me on Instagram. Everywhere. It's literally everywhere, especially like in conversations with people. I've had a lot of my most popular songs have come through just conversations, some with people I don't even know who they are, so I think inspiration's everywhere. But I also then think that I've worked my songwriting muscle enough to where it's like, sometimes I may start with like a group. Sometimes I have a melody first. It's literally just whatever hits me in the moment. And those muscles are, hopefully flexed and ready to roll. And we just kind of go from there and hit the ground running.
Yeah, that's good. We've talked about it a handful of times. We're over 100 episodes now, so we can say that. And
Awesome.
talked to a ton of artists, and the songwriters, like the real songwriters that we've had on here, they say the same type of thing, where our antennas are a little taller. We just pick up more stuff. Things that just, and then you also have that idea of like, we can dive down into it. Like it can be a word, it can be a sentence, it can be just a quick, Snapchat, whatever. And you can create this entire 3-minute song out of just like the thing that can happen. And
it's a muscle though, like for sure. You know what I mean? And that's like the thing to hopefully encourage people that are maybe trying to write songs. It's like, it takes years of practice, but it's like, I mean, I used to do an exercise all the time where I'd just be like, okay, guys, give me a word. And it's like, the, and it's like, I'm going to go write a whole song right now with the as the title, as the hook. And, it's like, you just work the muscle, man. It's just what you do.
Yeah. So you mentioned, not knowing like the co-write side of it and, just like you kept saying the muscle and building that up. Do you find, especially now having, the 10,000 hours under your belt, and do you prefer the co-writing side? Do you prefer like starting by yourself? Like what do you feel about that collaboration type of process?
Yeah, I think it depends on the person. Like when I first moved to town, I really enjoyed like, I didn't know really what I was doing, just like a lot of other people. And let's be honest, some days we don't know what we're doing either, right? But when I moved to town, I wrote with anybody and everybody. So it was like you could write jazz and I do country or whatever, but we're gonna write, So I've written with a lot of people, and there are certain people that I still write with all the time that we just work really, really well together. I also think that like as you write more songs, it kind of becomes this thing of you write songs with a goal, right? You're not just writing a song to write a song. So if I'm writing for myself, like as an artist, like a song that I would actually sing and put out and record, for me, just for whatever reason, I find that it's better if I write that by myself. And that's only because I think I maybe already know what I want to say as an artist. And I know how this is going to fit my voice and what I need to do. And so I'm very like, cool, I'm going to write the song by myself. So a lot of my songs I write solo. One of my favorite things to do though, is to write with other people. But I find what I'm really good at in that sense is looking at them and who they are as an artist. And it's going into a room with another artist and helping them essentially craft out their vision and kind of not have it be all about me and what I want to say as an artist, but more like, what do you want to say? And how can I help you like get this out into the world and something that hopefully people will enjoy? So I really like, I like both though. I don't really have a preference.
Yeah. So there's two things I kind of want to take from that. So first and foremost, the authenticity, like we've been talking about of you knowing what you want to say as an artist. That's obviously going to come across a lot more than when it's not authentic. People know. And also the idea of writing with other people for them, not even just for them, just the idea of being with other people. If you'll always gain something from that, right? So like it doesn't matter how many times you've written with the same person or how many new people, there's always something to gain. And whether it's a song or an idea or a trick that you didn't know 10 minutes ago, so it's good to, I like that you're so open to whatever comes your way is how you're going to do it. And I think it's cool.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah. So on the topic of songwriting, I think this will probably be a good time to take our break and put the song on that we're going to play for you. Why don't you go ahead and introduce it, and then we'll talk about it when we come back.
Absolutely. Well, this song is called Family, and it's off my new EP, The Acoustic Sessions, and I hope y'all like it.
2, 3, 4. Don't mind the dirt on the welcome mat. Just a sign knowing you can always come back. Yeah, we've got dirty laundry that we may hide. But if these walls could talk, they'd tell you of the love inside. From the slamming doors, mud on the floors, saying goodnight prayers, to the I'm sorry's and you were right, just knowing somebody cares. No, we don't always see the same way, even though we have the same last name. But we're still family. Family. Well, I remember what Mama always said, a friend will come and go, but blood is a forever friend. And no one will understand you like I get to, 'cause every part of me is a part of you. From the slamming doors, mud on the floors, saying goodnight prayers, to the I'm sorry's and you were right, just knowing somebody cares. No, we don't always see the same way, even though we have the same last name. But we're still family. Family. From the slamming doors, mud on the floors, saying goodnight prayers, to the I'm sorry's and you were right, just knowing somebody cares. No, we don't always see the same way, even though we have the same last name. But we're still family. Yeah, we'll always be family. Don't mind the dirt on the welcome mat, it's just a sign knowing you can always come back.
All right, so let's talk about family. First and foremost, what was the inspiration behind that song and ultimately releasing it as the newest single?
Yeah. I wrote that song for my brothers. So I have 4 brothers. I'm the only girl, and I'm just right smack dab in the middle of all these boys. And I wrote that song by myself one night, just sitting at my dining room table after kind of like getting in a little bit of a fight with one of my brothers. And just kind of what kind of just came to me kind of out of that is, the one thing I've learned is, like, especially as I've gotten older and we've grown up, it's like when we were kids, my brothers would just drive me crazy. They would just drive me up a wall like any good brother would. But as I've gotten older, I mean, they still in my adulthood drive me up the wall. But the only difference is I have just really learned like the power of family. And I mean, I may want to kill those boys, but I also would kill for them any day of the week. And that's just kind of how I feel. And so, there were a lot of lines in there, though, that I think just kind of explained it. Like, you don't always see the same way with someone just because you don't, because you have the same last name, right? It's like, it's okay to be, like, it's all good. So that's just kind of the meaning and the thought behind it. And like I said, just wrote it one night at my dining room table in about 30 minutes. And I grabbed my guitar and played it for my one brother. And he just sat there, and I finished it, and I'm crying and like, I love you, buddy. And he's just like, that was nice. I mean that's a brother. I mean, that's but yeah, but no, I love my boys, I love my brothers, and this is just kind of like my song for my bros. So
Yeah, I love this song. I have two brothers as well, and,
Nice.
and man, we fought like crazy when we were younger. I mean, it was pretty crazy. But the coolest thing that as I was listening to the song, it just kind of like snapped me back to being a kid and being around. Any time that we would have those arguments, they only lasted like a couple of minutes, and then like we'd separate for a little bit, and then it'd be like, "You want to go
Yeah.
outside or something? You want to go ride bikes?" And we're like, "Yeah, sure."
Sure. Come on, man. Oh, and that's what I love about it. And you were asking the question like why we released this as the single. And so we put out on May 5th, we put out a 3-song acoustic EP, and the whole record is just me and then my husband who plays lead guitar for me. And so it's just 2 vocals and a guitar. It's really simple. But we wanted to kind of give people the same feeling and vibe of like the day that I wrote that song. That's what that song would have sounded like. And I'm just here and I'm telling you a story. And this song in particular, we kind of decided to make it like the main single off of the project, simply because when I've been playing that out, especially through COVID or playing it on live streams or just anything, and even just like people that have been listening to the EP, it is like a resounding like, man, that makes me think of my brother. That makes me want to call, like, it takes you to a place where it's like people are just relating to it, because it's like if you have a brother or if you have someone that's like a sibling to you, someone that you love, it's just that idea of like family trumps everything. We can fight, we can bicker, we can disagree, but at the end of the day, we're still family, and we're always going to be family, and that's just the way that it is. So that's kind of, I think, what really kind of forced that decision though to make it the main song off of this new project for sure.
Yeah, and to dive into that, my day job is audio engineering, so I live in that like production side of things, and the nicest thing that I love about this is that stripped down version, that acoustic and lead guitar feel that's happening throughout it. And I've always said this in a lot of sessions is, in a recording or in music, the most important thing in music is the emptiness, the lack of instruments, the lack of music, that speaks volumes for a lot of things. And what this did is it forced you to just like center in on your voice and center in on the words you were saying, because it wasn't overpopulated by all this other stuff going on around you. And tell your husband what an amazing guitar solo that was.
Thank you so much. No, I mean, I thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I had the idea to do this record a while back, and it just, to me, it sounded like so much fun. And I think that in a lot of ways, though, it was also maybe not, I don't want to use the word nerve-wracking, but I think a lot of people, especially here in Nashville, and I've done this before too. I released a EP back in 2019, and it was recorded at big studios and fully produced, and Lord knows how many tracks are on even just one of those songs. And I love that. There's so many great musicians. But with this project, I was like, I just really want, I think there's something special too. We were talking about like my writing style and all. I usually, like I said, if it's a song for myself as an artist, I usually write it by myself. But my husband, we'll be married for 2 years this May. And we've been together though for about 5. And in the time that he's been playing with me, it's like, he's kind of like, not only my life partner, but my musical partner. So I write a song and then he comes up with these amazing guitar parts and he puts it over what it is that I do. And, that also kind of beckons, I think, to the Bakersfield sound, because if you know anything about Buck Owens, you know that his guitar player and his right-hand man was a guy named Don Rich. And what kind of makes that Bakersfield sound is that very heavy guitar driven kind of a stuff. And so, I think for me, and my husband, we always say that like I'm a female Buck Owens and he's my Don Rich, and we work together, in that. And that's something that I really enjoy getting to do, and I think it's fun. But again, it goes back to stripping it all down and how intimate is it, because we also recorded all this at my buddy Pat's studio. So I'm basically just sitting in a room singing you a song that I wrote by myself. I'm telling you my life story, and it's like it's just me and it's my husband playing guitar with me, and then I got my buddy Pat here in the studio who I just love, and it's like I'm just here with friends and family, and just stripping everything down and just kind of making it raw though. And it's like I don't have 100 tracks to hide behind. I don't have any of this. It's just me and the song. That's it. And so some people said it was ballsy, and maybe it is, but I just know that it's the most fun I've ever had making a project, because it was a blast. You know, it's like you kind of get to a point you're like, I don't care. I'm just putting it out there, and we're gonna have fun, and that's that.
You know, and I keep cutting you off, Ronnie. I'm sorry, but the nicest thing about it is, you know, I'm an acoustic player, and you it showcases how good of a singer and artist you are, because you can't hide behind, like you said, all the other stuff that's happening there. You know, you know, as an acoustic player, if you buzz a fret now
Right.
in a session that's fixable, right? Live, that's not. You hear
Yeah.
it, and so, you know, a really good guitar player can play an acoustic guitar really cleanly, and it gets in a fed that way. But yeah, again, you know, just a second that you know, it just showcases how good you are of a singer, because you're not buried in an, you know, an infinite amount of tracks that's happening.
Well, thank you, man. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I you used the word intimate before, and you know, I definitely, but not only on Family, but the other two songs on the acoustic sessions EP, I like the exposed feeling, right? Like
Yeah.
you're both saying it, that you know, there's nothing to hide behind, that this is who you are, take it or leave it. And
Right.
I really dig that. And more so on Family, the, you know, you love them but they drive you crazy, and
Right.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
um so the acoustic sessions EP, uh March 5th, I believe. Did I make
Yes.
that up? Yeah.
No, you're fine. Yes. Sessions, the 3-song EP, it came out on May 5th.
May 5th. May 5th.
So
Yes.
it's just came out, and it's out anywhere you can stream music. So
Cool. And how has the response been to the release as a whole?
honestly, I feel like it's gone a lot better than I had even really anticipated. I didn't know how people would react with just acoustic tracks, because again, they're just so simple. But I've had more people like share and reach out and respond to it. And whether that's fans or whether that's people in the industry, or it doesn't really matter. I think it kind of goes back to just um, being raw, and just kind of being intimate and real and exposed. And people just seem, I think, to kind of really just react and respond to that. So, you know, I'm glad. And we, you know, we Family, like I said, is kind of the main song I think people are really connecting with. That's track number 2. Track 1 is a song I wrote during the lockdown, basically about the world just going straight down the toilet. And, you know, it's super fun and everything, but it's like, I put that on there because I want you to laugh. Like, we're not very serious all the time, you know. It's like, I want you to laugh, and we can all get, you know, we all know what the year 2020 was like. And so it's like, we've all been there, relate. And you know, the third song is a song called Play Like Ken, which is literally my life story. And it, I just try to showcase different, you know, 3 main points of my personality and who I am, and just try to keep it real and raw, and just showcase it to people. And I think people just respond to that, because I think that people hopefully understand that I'm not trying to put on a front. I don't care. You know what I mean? If you like it, fantastic. And if you don't, that's okay. Don't listen to it. And you know, just I just don't care. I cannot change. This is what I am, and this is what it is. Like, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's a great perspective to have.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot harder to try to please everyone than it is to please yourself and know you're doing what you want to do. And
Yeah.
and I love the fact that it really is 3 different songs, 3 different like parts of who you are. So it definitely like has that full picture feel to it. And we're gonna play Like Ken at the end of the episode too. So everyone stick around for that. So one of my favorite things in the world is a good play on words. And the first Wednesday of every month, you do a Facebook Live, a internet live thing,
Yeah.
and you call it Ash Wednesday, which is hysterical to me.
Yeah,
So
I funny too.
yeah. So yeah, like I mean, I'm sure, you know, the COVID times and all that, but how did that come to be for you? And you
Yeah.
know, especially I mean, not to cut you off, but thinking about it, not a lot of people have continued to have that internet presence like that. So how's that been going overall?
No, man, thanks for asking about it. So, for starters, Ash Wednesday. So how it kind of came about, basically is during COVID, I'm very open and honest to say that it was probably just the worst year or two of my life. I had, not only like all my shows and everything taken away, but I suffered a lot of loss and just I had a lot going on in life, and definitely the lowest I've ever been. And I kind of ended up just really honestly having to take a break from pretty much everything by force. And I didn't pick up a guitar or sing a note for over a year. And nor really could I, because no shows, no nothing, And so when I was coming back from COVID, when I finally, was able to kind of regroup and get myself together and everything, I came back with vengeance. And I had really realized that there was a lot of people that, like, everyone was doing live streams during COVID. I was just trying to figure out how to live and survive. So then I come back from COVID, and there were all these fans though that had stuck with me, and they were still there, and they were so encouraging and so kind. And so the idea was, at first, honestly, like, I don't really care what anyone else is doing. I just want to know how I can give back and like can still connect with all of these people that have just stood by my side as I've been trying to, like, get life together. And so it was really just for fans. That was it. And so I got to thinking about it, and that's how Ash Wednesdays came about. So how it works, though, it's so much fun. It's always a blast. But the very first Wednesday of every month on my Facebook page, we go live at 7 p.m. Central, and it's me and my husband. Sometimes my dog, Mel, my golden retriever, makes an appearance. And we literally just sit here in our studio, here in our house, and we play songs. Sometimes it's original music. Sometimes it's a song maybe I just wrote. And you'll see my husband like holding the words in front of my face. And sometimes it's a cover song that I just really love to play or whatever. But we do like questions. So you can tune in and ask me anything. We'll talk about like updates. And we just kind of hang out and we connect with people. We also do a giveaway every single episode. So we'll ask a question, and whoever gets it right first, they win a giveaway. And sometimes that's, some Ash Taylor merch. Sometimes we have people that are kind enough to like donate things and sponsor episodes, and, they get something cool. So it's just a blast, man. But yeah, first Wednesday of every month, 7 p.m. on my Facebook, Ash Wednesday.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And the fact that, like you said, everybody did it then, and you're kind of keeping that trend, I guess, not trend, that avenue open, that you could still do that. And before we hit record earlier, we talked about the downfall of social media and all that. And
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say that obviously this is a positive that
Yeah.
comes from social media. So yeah, no, that's awesome. So let's kind of start reeling it in a little bit. So May 5th, the Acoustic Sessions EP just released. What's the next couple of months looking like for you? Is there anything you want to touch on coming down the line?
Yeah, I'm honestly really excited just for the whole rest of this year. We have so much things that we are working on right now. It's crazy, but we are already back in the studio, and we're already working on our next project, and I'm super, super excited about that. So there's more music coming before the end of the year. Also show wise, I'm playing a bunch of shows kind of here around the Nashville area that's coming up. People can head to my website at ashtaylor.com, and there's a full list of tour dates, and also you can sign up for reminders to tune into Ash Wednesdays. I'm really excited though. This September, I am going to be heading also out to Florida. We're actually going to be doing a they call it a songbirds, but essentially I'm going to Florida with my husband, just him and I. And at Sugarworks Distillery in New Smyrna Beach, Florida, we're actually going to be putting on a listening room experience. So I'm going to be heading up there and telling some songs and stories. But people will need to get tickets for that before it sells out. It may sell out pretty quick, it looks like. So again, go to ashtaylor.com. But man, we're just keeping busy, playing shows, writing lots of new songs, in the studio. it's idle hands are those of the devil, I guess. But we're really busy. But honestly, like I just love being an artist. I really do. And so it's just great to be out there and just to play music and write songs and just to kind of do my thing and be able to connect with fans and people and be on podcasts like this one. How fun is this, right? So no, we're not complaining about the busy schedule. It's great.
So Ronnie has on here, it must be another play on words. The you want to let the listeners know how they can become members of the Bad Ashes.
Yeah, I like puns. Again, I like to laugh. I'm a songwriter. It's what I do, right? Yeah. So the Bad Ashes is my official fan club, and you can also join up for that just by heading over to my website, ashtaylor.com, and there's a tab on there, and you just sign up and give your email. But that's really cool because the Bad Ashes are awesome, and they are the first to know about shows and new announcements. They have like their own special merch. We're always just working. Again, we really appreciate fans, and I'm very painfully aware, and so is my husband and my family. We don't get to do what we do if there's no one to listen to our music or no one to support us, and so we really appreciate those people. So with the Bad Ashes, the whole point of it, it's free. I don't take money for it. Just sign up and be a part of that community, and it's like we're just really here to thank people and to give back.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So ashtaylor.com. I'm assuming links to socials and all that are on there as well. So yeah, I mean, Ash, it's been an absolute pleasure getting to chat with you and getting to know you. I came in loving the music, and you as a person just makes that so much better. So I very much appreciate the time and honesty and conversation. So we're very excited to have you on.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for having me. This has been so much fun. I really enjoyed it.
All right, so that was our interview with Ash Taylor. And Brian, I think the one thing I wrote down in my notes after this interview was that she is the perfect example of why at least myself started doing this, and I'm sure you feel the same way. Her dedication to the craft, I guess we could call it, is it's definitely infectious, and it makes you like her and her music more. And fantastic conversation. I very much enjoyed chatting with her.
Yeah, that was super fun. I really liked Ash, and I think she's super friendly, super into the country music, scene, I guess you can say. And, another Bakersfield, California, artist on our end. So yeah, man, I had so much fun with that one. And I love her song.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think she said she sees Bakersfield or like the Bakersfield country or herself really she was making music for the working man and the brokenhearted. So I think that's perfect. And yeah, her grandparents, her parents playing all the music and the CMT videos, and we talked about Gretchen Wilson when she was coming up, and I mean it's obviously at this point everybody has listened to the interview, but I would suggest going back and listening to it again.
Yeah, it was definitely a fun one. And yeah, man, we definitely want to thank Ash for coming on Outside the Circle. Be sure to follow her on all of our social media and music listening platforms. We'll leave you today with a track from Ash Taylor, Play Like Ken.
Fit in while the other girls played with their Barbie dolls. I was busy jamming on my flat top, saying only boys can play guitar and girls should look pretty like a movie star. Well, I don't mind pink, but my mama told me I could be anything I wanted to be. Said when I grow up, I'll show them, gonna look like Barbie, play like Ken. Lead me to the stage, fire up the band, gonna rock this town with this guitar in my hand. shows. Some say girls can't top the charts, but I just smile and say, well, bless their heart. You know I'll prove them wrong and put them in a song, and I won't stop till the world sings along, 'cause I look like Barbie, play like Ken. Hey, lead me to the stage, fire up the band, gonna rock this town with this guitar in my hand, got my lipstick on, let my hair down, I'm cranking it up to 10. Gonna look like Barbie, play like Chris. Now just 'cause my guitar is made out of bling doesn't mean I can't be mean. Just watch me bend these strings. Oh, lead me to the stage, fire up the band, gonna rock this town with this guitar in my hand, got my